Watch me reverse engineer Starbucks brown sugar Strato Frappuccino in 3 quick moves. With sweet brown sugar syrup, the refreshing Frappuccino base, and creamy cold foam. I hope you're ready. Let's get started. We're going to start off by making the simple brown sugar syrup. And simple is the key word. We'll begin with 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. Try to make sure it's a 1/4 cup packed fairly tightly. Add your 1/4 cup of brown sugar to a small saucepan. Next up, you'll need a 1/4 cup of water. Go ahead and add it to the small saucepan as well. Next, set your stovetop on medium heat. Next, continually stir the ingredients over medium heat until the brown sugar is dissolved. It should take around 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, your saucepan should look like this. Now it's time to turn off the heat. Let the saucepan cool for a couple minutes, then carefully add to a different container. Looks like I steamed up my camera lens. Look, we've already completed the brown sugar syrup. You can set it aside for now while we move on to the Frappuccino base. We'll kick off the base by starting with a double shot of espresso. Or, if you don't like your Frappuccinos as strong, you can use a single shot of espresso instead. But if you don't have an espresso machine, no worries. Just brew 4 ounces of very strong coffee. Alright, now that we have our espresso or coffee brewed, let's let it cool down for a bit. Go ahead and add it to the fridge and let it cool down while we move on to other steps. Don't worry, espresso, we won't forget you. Speaking of cooling down, the next ingredient is 1 1/4 cups of ice. And we're going to be blending this Frappuccino base, so make sure you have your blender container handy. Alright, once you have your 1 1/4 cups of ice ready, go ahead and add it to your blender. For the next ingredient, we're going to grab an old friend out of the fridge. That's right, it's already time to bring back out our double shot of espresso. Hopefully by now, it's had enough time to cool down even further. It's ready to be added to the ice in the blender. Alright, now we pretty much have an iced coffee, so we're ready for the next ingredient. And next up is a 1/2 cup of milk. Most Frappuccino recipes list the milk as whole milk, but 2% or skim milk work great as well. Even non-dairy options like oat or almond milk work fine. After this milk discussion, it's a great time to remind you all the ingredients are found in the video description as well. And once you have your 1/2 cup of milk ready, go ahead and add it to the blender. And it looks like the base is coming together nicely. And next up is an important ingredient. It's a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Xanthan gum can be found easily online or in the baking aisle of most grocery stores. It helps make the Frappuccino extra creamy. One of you awesome viewers told me about this ingredient early on, and now I use it every time. Once you have your 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum ready, go ahead and add it to your blender. Alright, now it's time to bring out the brown sugar syrup. It was really hot at the time, but now it's had a lot of time to cool. You might remember we made almost a 1/2 cup. But right now, we'll just need 2 tablespoons added to the blender. Once the 2 tablespoons of syrup have been added, we're ready for the final ingredient before blending. This last ingredient is optional, but if you like your Frappuccinos on the sweeter side, I recommend adding a tablespoon of granulated sugar. If you like bolder Frappuccinos, you might want to skip this tablespoon of sugar. It's totally up to you, but if you go this route, which I did, go ahead and add it to your blender. Alright, now it's time to blend. I had my toddlers help put the lid on, but you'll want to make sure it's secure. Alright, go ahead and power up your blender and blend for approximately 1 minute. And while the Frappuccino is blending, it's a great time for our quick goose fact. Goslings actually learn their parents' voice before they hatch. When they break the shell, they know who to follow. Make sure you subscribe so you can follow us, your true feathered friends, and learn how to make awesome coffee recipes. We're a small gaggle, so it really means a lot. And now back to the blending. After you've blended for approximately 1 minute, you're ready for the next step. It should be all one consistency. If there are any chunks, you may need to remove the blender container, stir for a bit with a spoon, then blend again. Alright, now that the Frappuccino base is complete, it's time for the topping. Brown sugar cold foam. But before we do that, it's a good idea to add your Frappuccino base to the freezer so it doesn't melt. Time for the cold foam. I actually had my young kids help me with this, so if you see any toddler hands, you'll know why. The first ingredient is a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. It's very important that the cream has been kept very cold in the refrigerator. When you have your quarter cup of cold cream ready, add it to your mixing container. I decided to show the shaken method, so I'm adding it to a cocktail shaker, or you could also use a mason jar with a lid. The simpler option is to use a handheld frother. They're cheap and available on Amazon. Next up, you'll need 2 tablespoons of 2% milk. Once again, you'll want to make sure that this milk has been kept very cold. It will help everything mix properly. Once you have your 2 tablespoons of 2% milk ready, go ahead and add it to your mixing container. Here's the first tablespoon, and here's the second. Now we're ready for the next ingredient, and it's a familiar one. Add in 1 tablespoon of your brown sugar syrup. This will give the topping that signature brown sugar flavor. Alright, only one ingredient remaining, and it's an easy one. A dash of ground cinnamon. When you have it ready, go ahead and add it in with the other ingredients. Alright, now all the ingredients for the brown sugar cold foam have been added. If you have a handheld frother, go ahead and bring it out. For everyone else, make sure your lid is securely fastened and shake vigorously for around 1 minute. By the time the minute is up, your cup should be cold to the touch. Okay, at this point, it's time to remove your Frappuccino base from your freezer. Now add it to your serving glass. My wife handled this part, so I didn't make a huge mess. But just remember to go slow. Now we're ready to add on the brown sugar cold foam. The color contrast looks amazing. Okay, at this point, the brown sugar Strato Frappuccino is ready to enjoy, but I suggest one more topping. I recommend sprinkling a little bit of brown sugar on top. Alright, now it's ready to enjoy. As you might already know, I've made many Frappuccino recipes. This one takes a bit more time, but it's well worth the effort. And once you've made the brown sugar syrup, you can use the extra for future recipes. Now that we've created this amazing brown sugar Strato Frappuccino, you need a Frappuccino recipe you can make when you're in a hurry. Check out our popular caramel Frappuccino video and I'll see you there.